why we're losing the Hasbara war, because we cannot possibly win a war that we don't genuinely believe that we're the righteous ones, that we're the just ones, that we're doing what we should be doing. And we're embarrassed to say that because we're so worried about what the world's going to think, about what we're so used to being browbeaten by everybody that we have to come up with ridiculous arguments and, it's not like this and it's like that. Look how, no. The Jewish land belongs to the Jewish people. It was given us by God in the Torah. We have a biblical obligation to live here and to settle this land and to live in this land. We have eventually an obligation to bring all the Jews to Israel, to rebuild the third temple. And we cannot be embarrassed about this. This is our goal. This is our vision. And anybody who stands in our way is going to be pushed out of the way in one way or another. We need to not be embarrassed about that and not make any qualms and not, there's an argument and indigenous and it was like this and maybe like that. All sorts of crazy arguments that can easily be pushed out of the way because they're not the real crux of the issue. That this is our land, this is our place, this is our home. We've come home. We're never going to leave again. And the world and the people, other people who live here that are not part of the Jewish nation have to come to terms with that. And that's the best Hasbara right there, is to tell the truth. And that's what the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, that since it says in the Torah that the land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people, the world cannot go against the Torah. The Torah is the fabric of creation, it's the blueprint of creation. God created the world by looking in the Torah. So if it says that in the Torah, if the Jews would only stand up and say, this is our land, this is our God, this is our religion.
Can you relate it to the first Rashi also, that the nations are coming?
It said that why did the Torah start with gracious, with Genesis? Why did God have to start with the whole creation of the world? And they're really the great stories in the Garden of Eden and the flood and Abraham and it's not in the Torah, but whatever. It's smashing his father's idols. It's in the Midrash. But and Jacob and Rachel and Leah and all these wonderful stories. Joseph in Egypt. They're all very nice stories. So what is the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that Rashi says? The Lubavitcher Rebbe doesn't need to say. Rashi said it. But why are these stories even in the Torah? The Torah is a book of law. The Torah is a book of religion. So why is it telling us random historical stories and anecdotes, fairy tales? True fairy tales, but fairy tales nonetheless. Because he said there will be a time when the nations of the world will come and say that the Jewish people are thieves and we stole the land of the Philistines or the Canaanites or the people who sound a lot like Philistines. They have a very similar name today that they gave themselves. The word Philistine itself, anyone who knows what Philistine means like outsiders from there. Polish. They're squatters. They're not from here. They came from Phoenicia. They came from other places. They're not. So anyone who wants to call themselves something like a Philistine, Philistines have no right to be in this land whatsoever. They never had a right to be in this land. They were never from this land. So if they want to be like Philistines, I hope their end ends up like the Philistines. But again, that's the Torah approach, is that this is our land and God gave it to us, and it says so in the Torah, and we need not to be embarrassed about that. We need not to be ashamed by that. We need to get on television, we need to go in the UN and say that. Because when other nations say that, when the Arabs say that, and when they speak that way, and they talk about Al-Aqsa, and they talk about Mecca, and they talk about their holy places, they're very serious about their religion. When Christians get up and speak, they're very, very serious about their religion. When Hindus or Sikhs or whoever it is in the world, they're very, very serious about their religious beliefs, and they're not embarrassed, and they say, no, we're going to defend this. We're going to defend this to our last drop of blood, because we believe in this, and this is the truth. And almost always, when someone comes to that approach, it just no one argues with them. Does anyone argue with Russia? When Russia goes and does crazy things and invades, no one even talks to them. Why? Because they know they don't care. There's no point to make a UN resolution against Russia. They'll laugh at it. So we should be like Russia. We should laugh at it. We should learn from our Muslim.
Well, we shouldn't be like Russia completely.
No. We should be in this aspect. Is what to learn. What does it say that who is wise? Somebody learns from everybody about their level of faith and their level of dedication to their religious beliefs, even if they happen to be at odds with ours at certain times. But again, they're not embarrassed. They're not ashamed to say this is what Allah said, and this is what the Quran said, and this is what Muhammad said, and this is what other religions say their people. And we have to say this is our Torah, this is our God, this is our lifestyle. And anybody has a problem with that, there's a very, very, very large world. But in Israel, the Torah is the law. This is our law, and this is our... And again, that's the best time. Once you start from that point, then you can go to security arguments, and national arguments, and cultural arguments, and refugee arguments, and Holocaust arguments, and there's a million and one Hasbara arguments that everyone can make. But if you don't have that fundamental blueprint that this is our claim to here is a religious one, is a Torah one, is in the foundation of the world. The whole world was created so that the Jewish people would be in the land of Israel and we would have a temple. It was the whole purpose of creation. And everything else is to facilitate that. And if we would say that and we would know that, there's a lot of Christians in the world that know this even. There's a lot of evangelical supporters of Israel who are genuine supporters of Israel, who really, they understand that this is what God's plan is for the world. And fine, they're not Jews and they don't want to be Jews and they have their religious beliefs. We're not talking about religious beliefs. But again, we see that there are people who stand up, no, it's okay. That's all right. This is true. This is fact. And there are honest Muslims in the world too that will say, no, really, Israel really should be the land of the Jews. And
I think Muhammad said that in the Quran.
I'm not an expert in the Quran. I don't know them again, but there are even modern day Islamic scholars who, if you really press them, they'll admit that. But if we don't admit it ourselves and we're ashamed and we're embarrassed, it doesn't matter what anyone else is. We can't expect people to be more Catholic than the Pope. We have to be strong and we have to be proud. And if the world sees that we're strong and proud, they're going to follow suit and get in line behind us. But if not, no level of argument or Hasbara or media or gimmicks or shtick is gonna help. And certainly coming on our knees and begging and being sniveling, that those days are over, and that has never worked, and it's always led to tragedy for the Jewish people. And thank God we're in a time when we don't have to do that anymore, where we are coming from a position of power, we are coming from a position of where we decide what goes on, and we are the masters of our own fate. Obviously God's the masters of our fate, but we have a lot to say about what goes on with that, and things have changed, and the world has to get used to that. Jews are no longer oppressed, Jews are no longer downtrodden, Jews no longer go like sheep to the slaughter, and we're standing up for ourselves, for our religious rights, for our national rights, for our country, and for our people.